During the Western Han Dynasty, Liu Che, the aunt of Emperor Wu Liu Che, gave birth to a daughter named Gillian. Gillian was lively and cute, and her relatives and friends liked her very much. When Liu Che was 4 years old, his elder brother Liu Rong became the crown prince. But later Liu Che was able to become the prince thanks to the help of Princess Chang, the elder sister of Emperor Jing. The eldest princess originally wanted to promise her daughter Chen Ajiao to the prince Liu Rong, who would become the queen in the future. But the prince's mother Li Ji didn't appreciate it, so the eldest princess turned her attention to Liu Che. One day, Liu Che went to his aunt's house to play. The eldest princess liked this smart nephew very much, so she put him on her knees and teased him, "Son, do you want a wife?" As she said this, she pointed to a woman standing next to her. "Do you want her to be your wife?" Liu Che said, "No." The next day, there were a lot of people serving the eldest princess. The princess pointed to Liu Che one by one. Liu Che shook his head like a rattle and said no. Finally, the princess pointed at Gillian and asked if she would like it. Liu Che also liked Gillian very much. When his aunt asked, he immediately smiled and said, "If I marry Gillian as my wife, I will build the most beautiful house for her to live in." Emperor Jing of Han Dynasty, seeing that his son had such courage, he agreed to the marriage. Later, Liu Che was made the crown prince and then the emperor. He fell in love with his childhood sweetheart, his cousin Gillian, and indeed married her as his wife, Queen Chen. Many years have passed, and Empress Chen has never given birth to any children. As time goes by, Empress Chen, who is about the same age as Emperor Wu, looks older. His forehead was wrinkled and crow's feet formed at the corners of his eyes. At this time, Emperor Wu was in his prime and full of energy, and he felt disgusted with his old and yellow cousin. In the end, she was abolished and relegated from the Golden House to the Length Palace on the grounds of jealousy for coercion. Although Gillian was imprisoned in Nagato Palace, she was still as infatuated with her cousin as ever. She appealed to Emperor Wu through various connections, but Emperor Wu always ignored her. Later, someone gave her an idea and asked her to ask Sima Xiangru, a scholar who was a master of poetry at the time and highly appreciated by Emperor Wu, to write a poem. Sima Xiangru sympathized with her misfortune and wrote the sad and tragic poem Ode to Nagato. Emperor Wu was deeply moved after reading this poem, so he released her from the cold palace and favored her again. Later generations had an illusion of 1,000 pieces of gold by a gift. In fact, this is a completely fictional story. According to historical records, after Empress Chen was deposed, she became depressed and fell ill, and soon died of illness in Nagato Palace. In history, Liu Che was a wise emperor who had reigned for 54 years and was accomplished in both civil and military affairs. But like all feudal emperors, he had many concubines and was not always favored. When he was more than 60 years old, he not only begged the 16-year-old Mrs. Boxing, the biological mother of Emperor Zhao, but also favored a 14-year-old girl who was blowing Qi Xinglan. Until his death at the age of 71, he lived a life of extravagance and indulgence. Liu Che built a golden house for Gillian to live in and finally fulfilled his promise. However, Gillian in the golden house was not happy and instead staged scenes of tragedy. Liu Che finally took away the once-hot heart, but locked Gillian there. The indestructibility of the golden house does not represent the eternity of emotion. The status of a queen, a house built of gold, and the hard texture of material cannot hold up the building of love. It seems that it is not just material things that test a person the most, especially the true weight of emotion. A simple house can also achieve the glory of love. When matter participates in the exchange of the spiritual realm, problems often arise, and sometimes even collapse leads to destruction.